This is an experience I've had 3 years ago when I was coming home by plane from Pensacola when one of my granddaughters was married. When I had to change flights in Atlanta, I had 50 minutes from one flight to the next. And the Atlanta airport is huge. I didn't know if I would have enough time. I was seated pretty far in the back of the first flight. So I asked the flight attendant if I could be seated up further. So she came back and she said, there's a seat up right behind first class, but you have the middle seat. I said, no problem. So when I sat up there, the man on my right was reading newspaper and the man on the left was sleeping, so I sat there. And 10 minutes before we landed in Atlanta, the man on my right folded his newspaper and we started talking. And he says, Pensacola, your home? I says, no, Chicago is my home, and I'm going to change flights in Atlanta. And we talked, and then he said, what flight do you have? And as I cannot read because of my macular degeneration, my person showed him my flight, and he said, oh, we're going to be landing at this gate, and that one is only 10 away. He says, you don't need a wheelchair, because he could see on my ticket wheelchair assistance, and he says, I can walk you there. Okay, so when we landed now, he took my luggage, and we walked off the flight, and I reached down and held his hand, and we walked the 10 gates. When I got there, I was worn out. And of course, 10 gates to him was nothing, but boy, so when I got there, he sat me where you get for the wheelchair assistance, and he went up to the counter and said, took care of my issue. And then they came back to me, and people were already lined up, ready to board. And he said, they're going to get you, and they'll be here with a wheelchair. I said, thank you. And he walked away. Well, the line kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So when there was only about 6 or 8 people left, I walked up to the desk and I said, I'm supposed to get on this flight. Oh, they said, we forgot you. So anyhow, so now I walked away, and as I'm walking away, this man is walking towards me, and I said, what are you doing here? He said, I just want to make sure that you get on this flight. And then when he walked away, I said to him, well, what about you? He said, I only want to make sure you get on this flight. So I said, I kissed him on the forehead, and I said, you're an angel. And I turned around. My wheelchair was there, and he was gone. The wheelchair put me right on the plane. I sat down, and what just happened? I kissed a man I didn't know. I called him an angel, and I've never called anybody an angel, my children included. And I said, I'll bet it was an angel. So that's my experience of being touched by an angel. Okay.
When I was a child in the Norwood Park congregation, I was very blessed to get to know Bishop Strang. Some of you may remember him, others of you maybe don't know much about him. He always had a smile on his face and took time for everyone, young and old. So I began writing my testimony of Christ as my light, and he was a big part of my theme. And I finished it, and I was so relieved. The nervousness was over. I had something on paper that I could speak with you about. And I decided, haven't checked Facebook in a while. I'm going to go look on Facebook, see what's new. And I go to Facebook, and I see this picture. And I thought, cool. I don't get a lot of good Facebook stuff, so I'll give it a shot. And there was a video of Bishop Strang, my family, Norwood Park, the Doders, the Ehlerts, Bonif, everybody. The whole Norwood Park congregation posted by Doreen Rod of Florida. Doreen and I are only Facebook friends, so she would have no way of knowing what I was working on. So to me, this was such an experience of faith. It brought me closer to him and think, okay, I'm on the right path.
When I was just 19 years old, I learned that my father had Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a devastating illness. But despite that, my father was so very peaceful. My husband and I often talked about that. He's so peaceful. how he became totally paralyzed and could only move his eyelids. But his mind was intact. But we found the source of his peace. We had a brother in Melrose Park. Brother Miller and his wife were members for many years. And Brother Miller had just a calm, warm, peaceful way about him. If you got near him, you just felt kind of calm. And it turned out that Brother Miller, my father was in the last 5 months of his life at Hines Hospital. And it turned out that Brother Miller visited him almost every single day. He really ministered to his soul. My father passed away on December 23rd, 1977. My mother said, "Your father loves Christmas, and we're going to have visitation on Christmas Day." She said, "I don't care if anybody else comes, but I can tell you that many, many, many brothers and sisters, servants came on Christmas Day to support us." My mother was so touched that she gave me an offering, and she said, "I want you to, because they came and they supported us, I want this special offering to go in the offertory." But I took that offering and I wrote the District Apostle Kraus, and I told him how my parents supported me in the church and how my father drew close and at one point said he wanted to be New Apostolic, but before anything could be done, he passed away. And would the District Apostle accept that offering? And he wrote me back, and he said, "I will pray for your father, and I am sure that he will be a child of God." So it doesn't really matter if you're a little girl in a park and somebody protects you, or you're an older person in a hospital bed. It's when children of God can love someone else and minister to them, then often they can come and be children of God too. And I wish you all a Merry Christmas.